Let me say this very clearly. There are certain lines you don't cross in this country. You can argue politics, you can disagree on policy, you can even think somebody's wrong. But when you have a bunch of influencers who have never kicked in a door, start calling a man with 11 combat deployments a coward, yeah, we're going to talk about that, because this is not a political debate anymore. This is what you call a character assassination. And when it starts happening in unison, when the same talking points start popping up across multiple accounts at the same time, you start asking a very simple question. Who the hell handed out the script? Because that's what this is. Now I'm going to set the stage for you. This is what's happening. Obviously, a lot of people know Joe Kent resigned from the position over disagreements with the Iran situation. Did a video about it last night. If you didn't watch it, go check it out. Immediately after that, the narrative machine spins up. Suddenly, he's weak, he's a coward, he's a leaker, he can't be trusted with national security. And I'm watching this unfold, like thinking, hold on. Because none of that was the narrative before he resigned. Not a damn whisper, not a leak, not a rumor. But the moment he steps away, he calls it out, suddenly the smear campaign appears. Now, let me first, because I got a lot of comments on my video talking about the leaker nonsense, okay? This accusation. Because this is where the story falls apart. If Joe Kent was actually leaking classified information, why was he still in the position? If it was known that he was a leaker, why was he still in that position? Why was he anywhere near the intelligence pipeline? If someone is removed from presidential intelligence briefings, that means they are effectively cut out from the information flow. Listen, Karen Levitt says it here.
It's been a while. It's been a while since the president has seen him here at the White House. It's been a while since he's been involved in the process of the presidential daily briefs, and he's been actually present for the president's intelligence briefings. This was an individual who was not involved in any of the discussions pre-operation and throughout this operation. I think the president views it as deeply unfortunate that this individual, who the president gave the privilege of working for the administration, put out this resignation on government letterhead with many falsehoods throughout, essentially accusing the president of being manipulated by foreign governments. That's laughable and it's insulting. President Trump has been remarkably consistent on this issue of Iran for many, many years. Long before he ever entered politics, he has always said Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. So anyone who works here should be well aware of the president's intentions and his peace through strength agenda and his willingness to use the United States military to achieve peace if and when necessary, as we have seen throughout Operation.
Okay. So you cut him out from intelligence briefings, which means they are essentially useless in a counterterrorism role. So who the hell has been handling Americans counterterrorism at this point? So that means we have two possibilities here. And there are only two. It's either the administration knowingly left a supposed leaker in one of the most sensitive national security positions in the government, which would be gross incompetence, or the accusation conveniently appeared after he resigned. Those are the only two possibilities. You have to pick one. So either it was a total failure if he was a leaker of this administration. Okay. Now, let's talk about something that crossed the freaking line. This is where things get ugly. I watched a video where Officer Tatum repeatedly called Joe Kent a coward. A coward. Let me remind everyone who we're talking about. Joe Kent served in the Rangers, SF. He went on to work in intelligence as a paramilitary officer at the Central Intelligence Agency. He deployed over and over and over again to the same war zones most Americans can't even find on a map. 11 combat deployments, 11. Some people don't even serve 11 years. This man did 11 tours, and his wife died while serving this country. So he's a gold star husband. So when I hear people casually throwing the word coward around, yeah, that's going to get a reaction. Okay, listen to Tatum.
I think Joe Kent is a coward. I think he's a coward.
I think you're a loser. I think you're heavily overweight. He's got a supplement brand. It's not working. It's not working.
And he should be ashamed of himself. He should be honored for his service that he committed to this country, but he's a coward for what he did. And then it had nothing to do with Israel. I think what he said about us fighting the war for Israel is nonsensical. But people have a...
Of course you would, dude. You're on your knees for Israel. Mouth open, bro. I see it every day you're posting some shit about Israel in defense of it. You look like a damn sack of potatoes, bro.
Right to have a stupid opinion if they want to. But the fact that you think you a man, you think you doing something, you think it's honorable that you can say, I'm going to resign because I don't believe in this, but the men and women who serve can't resign.
Have you done anything honorable in your life other than bowing down? Bowing down?
You think you doing something. You're not a leader. You're a coward.
Have you ever been a leader in your life, Tatum? From what I know about you, I think you went to college. You're a patrol cop. Couldn't hack that. Started making YouTube videos. That's what I know about you.
You are a coward. It ain't got nothing to do with Israel. I don't care what he said about Israel. Shit, I'm not Israeli. I don't live in Israel. I've been to Israel one time.
No, but you take up for him an awful lot, brother. You take up for an awful lot.
I don't care. But when you are going against your own country and you grandstanding and acting like I'm gonna resign because I don't agree with the war. Well, a lot of people that died for this country didn't agree with wars that we were in.
I think Joe Kent knows that better than you, buddy. I think he does. How many deployments have you been on? Just let me know. Let me know how many deployments have you been on?
But they wasn't enough a wussy to punk out in the middle of a war. If
you punked out completely from serving your country, dog. You punked out completely. You were too coward to even try it.
Real man, you will see it through. I hate wussies. You're a real man, you'll see it through. It ticks me out because I hate when dudes act like they, no, you ain't doing nothing. You let your country down. That's what you did. Because I bet you $1 million there's other people.
A man with 11 combat deployments hasn't let his country down. I really don't care what Joe Kent's belief is. To be honest, I could care less. I'll walk in that man's shadows. Okay. He's a hero, period. I don't care what he believes. I wouldn't care if he was full-blown leftist. He can do whatever he wants. You know, there's certain things you just don't say about a man. Look, I detest Dan Crenshaw. I do. I'll discuss his policies, his ideas, but I'm not going to say these kind of things about him.
An administration that may not agree with everything, but they're going to stand up and they're going to fight to the end. That means if I disagree with Donald Trump, I'm going to disagree with him in the position.
It's impossible. Donald Trump would. If you don't kiss the ring, you get booted out of the administration. We know that. That's dumb.
That I'm in to make, to make a difference or something. What a wuss. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like what I'm going to quit. No, you stand in there and you look Donald Trump in the eye and say, this is wrong. Make him fire you. But instead, you punked out like a coward. And all the men and women who may also disagree with the war, they don't get the punk out.
Yeah, I think he knows that better than you do. He's not the only one that called him a coward, though. Ben Shapiro basically called him
conspiracy trash. So apparently, Trump is so deeply enthralled to those strange, powerful American lobbies. We're not going to say it. That he apparently has been so bamboozled by them that he's still under the impression that he's his own man. But here's the thing. President Trump is his own man. He makes his own decisions. And as per our usual arrangement, Trump's critics are cowards who are simply unwilling to acknowledge that Trump is the one making the call.
Anyone who disagrees is a coward, right? If any of you guys could arrange like a cage fight, I would fight Officer Tatum and Ben Shapiro at the same time. I would. I think it'd be easy workout, to be honest. If you guys can make that happen, I'd do it. I'd do it. Anyway, that word means something, especially to people who've actually been there. There's certain rules in the veteran community, man. They're not written down, but everybody understands them. You can debate politics all day long. You can even think someone made the wrong call, but you don't sit behind a microphone and call a man with a record a coward. It's disrespect at its highest. And if you actually ever serve, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But what makes this even more interesting, this didn't just come from one account. It started popping up everywhere. Same narrative, same accusation, same talking points. Almost like everyone got the memo at the same time. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe they're all following each other. But I've been around information warfare long enough to recognize when something smells like a coordinated narrative, and that's what it seems like. Now, this isn't the first time Officer Tatum has taken a shot at veterans. Just recently, I did a video about this. I actually thought I had deja vu. I'm not going to lie. This morning, I was sitting there and said, did I dream this? I said, I thought I just talked about Tatum talking about veterans. He just went after Brian McGinnis and tried to say he wasn't a Marine. You had Officer Tatum watching the clip saying, "You ain't a Marine."
A Marine. You ain't really a Marine.
Hold up a second. Okay. Now, if you ever served in the Marine Corps, you know exactly why that struck a nerve. Because there are things you just don't say. And you don't tell a Marine he's not a Marine. That is a line that will get your ass kicked. And when people who actually wore the uniform start hearing this kind of rhetoric repeatedly, they're going to stick together. I saw OAF Nation post this today, despite the fact that plenty of us don't agree with Joe Kent's political stances. The veteran community isn't about to sit back and say nothing while these MAGA pussies and Epstein class smear a dude who hung his nuts out on 11 combat deployments to the same place so many of us lost our friends, youth, and innocence. I got homies that's ruined for life. Ruined. Missing eyes, fingers, limbs. So don't sit behind a microphone running your mouth. We had Tulsi, good friend of Joe Kent, okay? They had a close working relationship. But then last night, the political winds kind of shifted. The alliance kind of disappeared. She put out this statement. It seemed like a lot of people were like saying, man, she's changed size. She kind of went Judas on us, okay? Almost like Joe Kent was suddenly found himself standing alone. I thought all this until today's briefing, where she was asked directly.
Noted in your opening statement, you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
Correct? In that opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
Yes.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
So that's what she's saying. That's what she was kind of saying in her statement, that no, they weren't a threat. But the president is the one who makes that determination. In her statement, she said the president, who's elected by the people, made the assessment. Okay. She just gives reporting of the facts. And then the president determines based on those facts. But she's saying here they weren't an imminent threat and that their nuclear facilities were destroyed. So how were they going to make another nuclear weapon in 2 weeks? That's the kicker. How are they going to do that? Now, again, all this is bigger than Joe Kent. The bigger issue is something much deeper. We're watching culture develop where influencers, people whose entire job is talking to cameras, feel comfortable attacking the character of combat veterans. If you think about that, men who spent years in war being called cowards by peoples whose biggest battlefield is the comment section, that should bother people. I don't care what side of the aisle you are. Now, if you do this, you're not just attacking one guy. You're sending a message to the entire veteran community, okay, that their service means nothing, that their sacrifices can be dismissed the moment they disagree with a political narrative. And let me tell you something. That community is a lot bigger than most people realize. Millions of Americans, many of whom are watching this situation unfold right now, who's watching this video. And they're noticing who is willing to throw one of their own under the bus. It's just like I talked about yesterday, and I posted this, I think, on X, is that MAGA has just alienated the entire veteran community yesterday. Of course, we got tired of no one being brought to justice. No Fauci, no General Milley, nothing with Afghanistan withdrawal. Obama committed treason. Nothing happened. Nothing keeps happening. Oh, now we have Obama gas prices, and groceries are up. Rent is up. Houses are just unaffordable. I could go on. The 600,000 Chinese students, the millions of dollars to Argentina, beef farmers, screw our American farmers, more pesticides in foods. I could keep going. I heard that we took out Maduro. We were going to get a bunch of oil, but now we got Obama gas prices. It's just unbelievable that you would even still follow suit. But as of yesterday, I can tell you, what I've seen, and it's made me very proud, is that veterans stuck together. They're like, no, we're not going to have this. Okay. Not from a guy who never served this country, right? That wants talking to a microphone. Not from a man who avoided the draft 5 times. Of course, he was in college. That's the thing. Oh, he's in college. Well, how the draft works is after you get out, then you got to fulfill the obligation. I've known people who had to do it. I've known people who went to college, then they wind up getting drafted. But then all of a sudden, bone spurs. We have guys trying to re-enlist with missing limbs, but bone spurs kept me out of. I'd say that's a coward. That's a pussy if you want to say it. So here's the real question that nobody seems to be asking. If Joe Kent is so weak on security, like Donald Trump said, if he was such a liability, if he was such a leaker, why was he there in the first place? Why was he trusted in that position? One of the most important ones, counterterrorism. Because none of those accusations existed until the moment he stepped away, and now they don't hold water. And the timing raises a lot of questions. And you don't have to agree with Joe Kent. You don't have to support his political decisions. But calling a man with 11 combat deployments a coward, that's cheap. That's a dirty blow. And I think most American people are smart enough to see the difference. Debate policy, debate strategy, debate leadership. But tearing down men who actually carried the burden of this country's wars, that's when you lost the plot. And a lot of veterans are watching this moment very closely. Anyway, guys, before I jump off, sorry, I was a little, this is my 3rd time trying to record this video because the other 2, I don't think it had even been safe to upload to YouTube, because obviously I'm pretty passionate about this, and pissed. I'd love to catch these boys in the street. I really would. I really would. That's put nicely. I'd go hands on. I'd be a mark time marching on their chest, if you feel me. Anyway, new gears coming out tomorrow, man. There'll be email going out in the morning. If you're not on the email list, I highly suggest that we put out, like today, we put out information as well, like training stuff, free. You don't have to pay anything. So, but anyway, email will go out. The surf tees did so well last time we came out with this one. Ride the storm, bring the thunder. People love the surf motif. Kind of goes back to like that. Commies don't surf. You know, Apocalypse Now. One of my favorite movies. Also, I'm not even going to show it, but this is coming out tomorrow. This is the Black Site Evasion Kit. You have to check out the website tomorrow morning, get on the email list, and you'll not want to miss this. Okay, I don't expect it to last long. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I know your thoughts about this, and obviously, all you veterans watching this, man, I hate that someone even say this about one of our brothers. But thank you for your service to this country. No matter what your political ideology is, no matter what your religion is, or any of that stuff, thank you from me for your service to this country. Thank you to your family for allowing you to serve us and be put in harm's way, or even just being deployed away from your family, being in the field, living in a barracks by yourself during the holidays, all those sort of things, missing holidays, not being able to see your kids being born. All those sacrifices you had to make, all the training you may have had to went through, all the cold nights, wet, dirty, hungry. Thank you for that, guys. Anyway, guys, this is Black Scout Survival. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. I'll see you in the next one. Black Scout out.
2, 3. 4, 2.